Okay, just modified a bit the slide just to include the discussion about quadtrees, at which the splitting criteria is based on how well can we fit the data. So I'm referring here to a function that I called it best fit, that tries to fit a line to a set of data points representing, of course, points. The points are actually in 2D, and the height, the y value, is actually the z, the elevation above the sea level, and we are trying to ask, can we well interpolate, or can we well model all the points, the behavior of all the points in this region using one line? Can we cluster all the points using one line that would become one triangle when we're talking about terrains or models of data in 3D? And in this little toy example, I decided that when I'm taking all the points from A to H and try to best fit them and ask what is the error here might be the sum of squares of the vertical errors. And I am asking, is this acceptable interpolation for all the data points? No, that's why if I'm using a quadtree, I'll split it at the middle as usual. So the points A, B, C, D are going to one side. At this point, I check, can I well model them via one line, that is one triangle, only the relevant part of this line is relevant for me. I'll decide that this is acceptable. So what this node needs to store is not necessarily all the data points. It's enough to say that in the region between A and D, our data is well interpolated via a segment, via a line between A and D. What about the other side, the point from E to H? Decided that they cannot be well approximated well enough, so I split it at the middle, 2 points where I can hit both of them via line, or 3 points would be via triangle, a plane. So what I stored at this node and what I stored at this node are just the parameters of the corresponding lines. Make sense to everybody? See that our computer is still very upset, so let's kill there. So chat will be via Zoom only. Sorry about it. I have 2 Zooms. Okay. And any questions about it? Makes sense, right? It's just to say that our splitting in a quadtree is not necessarily if the pixels are one color or another, but we can decide about if we have a gray level image that we build a quadtree, or the splitting policy would be if a quadrant, if I look at all the pixels at a quadrant and the difference between the highest and the lowest is acceptable, then I'll just keep this quadrant as a whole. If the highest and the lowest are too far away from each other, then I'll split it. So that's how I force an image to be constructed. Hopefully that's enough. Now I want to tell you about compressed quadtrees. Less useful for triangulation, for mesh generation as a whole, and don't confuse between the between compressed quadtrees versus balanced quadtrees, 2 very different things. Balanced quadtrees, discussed last time, are trees where for every 2 neighboring region, 2 neighboring nodes, either they are in the same size, or one is twice the size of the other, but it cannot be 4 times. Compressed quadtrees will be something else. And to understand the advantage of the compressed quadtrees, let's forget the word quad in the quadtree. Anything else that I can keep? Let's forget the word compressed from the word quadtree, and let's talk just about general tree. General tree, binary, trinary, etc., but it has a root. And I'm looking at this tree, and I count f, which will be the number of internal node, every node that is not a leaf. these guys. These are the internal nodes. That would be f, and n will be the number of leaves in this tree. And I am asking, is there any relationship between them? Is one is larger than the other? And the answer is, of course, absolutely not. One can be large, one can be very small. Example, here I have many more internal nodes than leaves. And here I have only one internal node, but as many leaves as I want. So they are not necessarily correspond to each other, but now I'm adding another criteria. I want to tell you that if you really want a tree with a lot of internal nodes, but very few leaves, you can do it, but then you need to have a node that has only one child. Somehow, I need a node that has only one child, and then I can generate these long shreds. Today, we are completely eliminating shreds as an approach. So we are anti-shreds today. If I want a long shreds, then I need to have a lot of nodes that has only one child. So let T be any tree, binary or quad tree or whatever. It has n many leaves, and each internal node has at least 2 children. Let F be the number of internal nodes. I was looking for a letter for internal node. I is confusing because it's usually index. T was confusing because we have T for the name of the tree, so I decided F. F is the number of internal nodes, and N is the number of leaves. And I want to make yet another attempt to generate a tree that fits this criteria, but has somehow a lot of internal nodes. So maybe it will be this guy. I'll take this shred, I'll make this guy has 2 children, 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 but I didn't succeed too much because how many internal nodes? Here, 1, 2, 3, 4 internal nodes. So F equal 4, and the number of leaves is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So N equal 5. So in this case, N is larger than F. OK, I want to tell you that every tree that has this property, every node has at least 2 children. If you find such a tree, then the number of internal nodes is smaller than the number of, sorry, it's N, number of leaves. Replace it, it's N, not N. OK, and the proof is very easy by induction. It's true if you have a very small tree. Let me check it out. And now let's assume that I proved it for all the trees. I have proved it in all the trees that has strictly less than n many nodes, n many leaves, sorry. Every tree that has less than n many leaves, I have proved my claim. Why is the computer still with Chrome closed, and what else can make it so unhappy? Don't see anything in OBS that I can get rid of. Don't see. Okay. Okay, and the proof is very simple. Base case. Let you check now. You have any tree that has less than n leaves, and let's pick our tree over here that has exactly n leaves. It's the first time in our life that we are seeing a tree that has so many leaves. All the trees that we validated so far has fewer leaves. and I'll pick a node V, and I'll pick its parent, P, the parent of V, and I'll remove all V together with its siblings. And I'll ask you, when I removed P with all its siblings, in this case, what happens to the number of leaves in my little example? It decreased, but by, if n was the original number of leaves, what is n right now, after I did my little surgery? N minus 2, because P now that used to be an internal node became a leaf. Okay, so let's say that I have K nodes that I removed. Easier, I mean, K is at least 2, right, because every internal node has at least 2 nodes. So now we are talking about n prime, that is n minus 3 in my case, plus 1, that is n minus 2 many leaves. And what happened to the number of internal nodes? Number of internal nodes definitely decreased by 1. So it was true, check it out, it was true before my little surgery. So it's true after the little surgery. And if K is 3, as it was in this case, more than 2, even more, even stronger. Right. Then even increase creates more leaves than the number of nodes minus 1. The minimum we can get is the number of nodes minus 1. Right, proof by example. 2 leaves, 1 internal node. And if you try to play with this, it will still say the same relationship. Compressed quadtrees. People that took 45 with me might recognize the idea, because we did something similar for suffix tree. So what happens here? We created a quadtree, and in this, for a set of points, I created a quadtree for a set of points. And in my quadtree, we all remember this example. Here is my quadtree. Here are 2 points. My whole data consists of only 2 points. But once I start building the quadtree, I need to get some ridiculous height until I can finally separate these 2 points. So in this version of the quadtree, I don't keep any empty leaf. An empty leaf I'll just denote as a null pointer to the empty leaf. But now I see a shred of a lot of nodes, and it might appear as immediately from the root, might appear anywhere in the tree, might appear multiple times, that you see such a shred of nodes. So definition, a thread is any sequence of nodes such that I'll have the first node, its child, its grandchildren, grandchildren, but and P itself is not part of the shred. The shred starts at U, and U has only 1 child. And the next node of the shred has only 1 child, until finally I got to a node that has 2 children, or the other alternative, V might have a point stored in it. So V is either a leaf or has 2 nodes. But if it has only, or has 2 children. If it has only 1 child, then I would take V and add it to the shred. It's not the last node of the shred. Its single child will be part of the shred as well. Okay, so that would be my definition of a shred. It starts from U, sequence of nodes, each has only 1 child, except the last one. The last one is obviously either a leaf or it has 2 children. And now I do the obvious trick. I look at the pointer that points from I found who is the parent of the first node of the shred. The parent of the first node is P. U was the beginning of the shred. Its parent is P. There is obvious modification if the shred starts at the roots, and you figure out what to do. If it has a parent, then this parent has 2 children. Why? Otherwise it was part of the shred as well. So the parent has at least 2 children. One of the children points to you, and I'm doing the obvious. Just take the pointer that points to you and make it point to the last node of this shred, and get rid of all these unnecessary nodes. Now, there is a little caveat that might be an issue because quad trees are so simple and so fast to implement. So there is a little caveat that normally nodes don't need to store what is a region. Agree? Normally, if nodes in the quad tree don't need to store what the region that they correspond to. A node just, right, because I know that the root of the quad tree, R of the root, is some numbers between 0 to 2 to the h times 2 to the h, some grid of 2 to the h times 2 to the h. And now I had my agreement with myself that if I'm going to the first children of the root, to the first child of the root, it will correspond to the northwest child, so I know what is my region if I'm visiting the first child, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, based on my agreement with myself at which order they appear. So, and in this way, when I'm doing point location or visiting the tree, I always start at the root, so I know my path downward. The only caveat with compressed quad trees, the only difference is that now if I have a compressed quad tree, then I need to store with V, since, where are we? If I have my 2 points over here, well, how would the quad tree looks like, roughly, after I compressed it? Before the compression, you saw plenty and plenty of splits. After the compression, what you actually see is a root that corresponds to everything over here. And in the root, there is just one little square that is already split, and these 2 points find themselves in different locations. And I don't need all the leaves in the middle. But now this node needs to know, of course, what is this region, because the location of the node, the location of the tree doesn't tell me if this square is here or here or here or here. So I need to store with this node. So if I want to keep it simple, maybe I want to keep a flag here that will tell me which type of node it is. And of course, I'm losing some of the simplicity of the quad tree. Okay. What will be the memory requirement of the new quad tree after the compression? How many nodes do I have?
It would require less memory because you have less nodes. I guess total of 4 nodes now.
In this case, I think that it will be 1, 2. I think it will be 4 nodes. I agree. Root and children. So here it's 4 if I don't store empty leaves. And if I start from a set S of n data points, remember, if my data points are pixels, then I know that the height and the image is 2 to the h times 2 to the h. Then I know that the height could be h. That the maximum height, which is still, maybe I'm fine with this, maybe I am doing point location a lot of time. If my points are all I know about them are that they are real numbers, then possibly I have 2 very close points, and I have 2 very far away points. So I'm looking at the maximum distance between points. I'm looking at the minimum distance between any pair of points. And the height of the tree is log of this ratio between the maximum and the minimum, if I'm using normal quad tree without my tweaks. Everybody agrees, and everybody understands why this log is coming from. We also talked about it in last meeting, then we called it the depth, the height, same thing. Where does it coming from? because you start from this huge region, and then you need to split it by 2, split it by 2, split it by 2, until you're finally able to separate these two very close nearby points. That's where this log to the base 2 is coming from. So this height can be unbounded, just limited by how many digits can you represent, or how many digits do you, how small should the distance be until you call it noise. But now what happens if I compress this quadtree? I'm eliminating every thread that I saw. Every thread that I saw were eliminated, were compressed into a single node that might have multiple children, and one of these descendants might have more threads. So how did I come with this bound? I start with a set of n points, the n data points. I keep splitting. Let's look at the uncompressed quadtree. In the uncompressed quadtree, the height and everything can be quite ugly. But what can I say about the number of leaves that I have, leaves that actually contain the point? How many non-empty leaves can I have? If I start with n nodes, with a set of n points, then the number of leaves at the lowest level of the tree, number of non-empty leaves, let's zoom it out a bit, number of non-empty leaves is n, exactly. I'm splitting until every leaf has one node, or it's empty. So the number of non-empty leaves is n. Now compress it. What does this compression, let's go, what does my compression do? I let P survived my compression. V survived my compression. Why? Because it's either a leaf and contains a point, or it has two children. P survived my compression because it has two children or more. So after my compression, what did I eliminate? Every node that has a single child eliminated. What did we say about general trees? That if I have a tree, let's go back to slides. If I have a tree with the property that every node has at least two children, then the number of internal nodes is bounded by the number of leaves. Back to my compressed quadtree. In my compressed quadtree, the number of leaves is n. The compression made sure that I don't have any nodes with a single child. Either it's a leaf or it has two children. Voila, I'm done. So the number of internal nodes is n as well. The height can still be n. There are further tricks. They don't describe that enables further compression. But something strange happened to the OBS. Apologize for it. For the sake of the good, let's take, since OBS is still very unhappy, let's take a 2 minutes break, go drink water or something, and I'll try to restart